Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Josh. I'm a software developer in Montreal, Canada. If you don't know about me, I used to work at Shopify, and now I kind of do a lot of stuff around Stripe and Svelte. So today I want to start by showing you guys a little bit about a CSS framework that I've been using a lot that I kind of like called OpenProps. Okay, so what are OpenProps? OpenProps are a collection of CSS variables that make up a design system. So it's got everything from different options for colors, for gradients, shadows, and all the kind of stuff. It's conceptually similar to Tailwind, except that Tailwind uses classes, right? And OpenProps uses CSS vars. So if you look at Tailwind, for example, if we inspect any of the code here, what we'll see is that there's a ton of classes on this stuff, right? And this is basically a Tailwind DSL. And this is all not to say like that anything's wrong with Tailwind. I've used it and it's fine. But I do find that sometimes I come back to a Tailwind project and I'm just like, there's so much, look at all the classes here. There's just so much stuff. It's just a wall of text that I have to like interpret to make some edits. So my personal preference is to use OpenProps. The other problem that I find with Tailwind is that it's a bit of a leaky abstraction in that all these different things are all these classes are CSS, so you still need to know CSS. Like if you're debugging an issue, like the padding, why is the padding incorrect? You're going to have to go in here and inspect, find out what the padding is here, and then you're going to have to work back from that to what is the CSS class for padding block N0. So you still need to do that mental mapping. It's not saving you from knowing CSS. Um, Another thing that I find, at least in the Svelte world, is that we have scope styles, right? So the Svelte compiler gives us a warning if you specify a style and you're not using it. So I feel like because we have that, we kind of have atomic styling in Svelte. So it's not as useful, let's say, compared to React, where there is no scope styling. So maybe this kind of thing is more important if you want to be able to delete your React component and have all the styles get deleted. I don't think we have that problem in Svelte. So that's just my personal preference. Okay, so let me show you guys how we would set up OpenProps with SvelteKit. Okay, so here I am in a blank SvelteKit project, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to install OpenProps. So pnpm install in development mode OpenProps package. And once that's done, what I like to do is I like to create a global CSS. So inside src routes, we'll create a global CSS, and we will import OpenProps here. And because SvelteKit supports PostCSS, we should use the PostCSS version like that. Okay, cool. So now that we have that working, we can go into our layout. And in our layout, we can import the global CSS. So we'll do that here. We'll say import global CSS. Now, back into the CSS file, it's very common to have a CSS reset. So let's do that here. And so let's import that, OpenProps normalized min.css. And there you see now it gave us some default styles. Now we can make this dark as well if we want. We can switch to dark min. There we go, we have dark mode. Now let's go to the actual page, and I'm going to open up the page here. That's the default page for the site, and let's start messing with some of the styles. So if I look at the H1 tag, if I change the color, what I could do is use one of the vars from OpenProps. So we use blue 2, let's say. And you just see it change to blue. If we want some padding in there, we could use OpenProps sizing stuff. So we could use size 4, let's say. Let's add a background color too. So let's put that here, background, and and you see we can reuse the same tokens. In like Tailwind, you'd have FG and BG. Here you can just reuse the same ones. So let's say red 2. Maybe we'll make this a bit darker. And we can add some margin, let's say. And let's add a border radius. And there you go. So as you can see, we have a lot of different tokens that we can use. Now, another really useful feature that OpenProps provides is animations. So if we go back to the OpenProps docs, and you go down to the bottom of the screen here and look at animations, you see that it provides a bunch of vars related to, we can spin, we can ping, we can bounce, and gives us a bunch of options here. We can see what it looks like. So let's go back to our code here and we'll make this thing fade in. So what we'll do is we'll add an animation attribute and we'll use that var, animation dash fade in. And you'll notice now that if we refresh, nothing happens. And that's because by default, you need to set the starting state, which is that the opacity is 0. Let's do that. Now you see that it fades in, but it also has another problem now. It disappears. And the reason is because it's going from 0, fading into 1, and then going back at the end of the animation back to 0. So what we need to do is we need to tell, using CSS, we can add the forwards at the end here. And what that says is to like hold the value forward. So we'll keep that value at the end. So now it does the right thing. It fades in and it holds at opacity 1. Now we can obviously adjust the duration by just specifying and making it 1 second, for example, slowing it down a bit. It's cool also that you can combine these. So like imagine imagine I'll copy this and have another one on another line here. Just not forget to switch that to a comma. And we'll rename the second one to be, let's call it, we'll use the slide in up. Now you see it sliding up and fading in at the same time. Cool. Now there's also easing. So OpenProps gives us a bunch of options for easing. We can spring and bounce. Let's use this one. We'll use ease elastic out. And what I'll do is I'll set the timing function here. So I'll say animation timing function. And we'll use that var. Call elastic out 3. Just actually minimize the code so you can see what I did. So that's the value now. And so now if we refresh, you should see it bounce up and down a little bit. Cool. So yeah, so that's animation and easing. I use them all the time. They're really super handy. Okay, so let's look at responsiveness and breakpoints. Imagine that we wanted to make this font size change based on the size of the screen. So what we could do is we could have the original default value, let's say we'll set a var for, again, we're using OpenProps here, we'll say font size 2 will be the default. And then when we scale it bigger, we'll want to switch to a larger font size. So what we can do is we'll have to set up our project for essentially future CSS because we want to use custom media breakpoints. This is a new feature that we need a polyfill for. So if we look at our docs here, we can see that there's media queries. And it uses the new custom media syntax. So what we'll do is we first, let's exit the editor. Let's do pnpm install in development mode, post CSS preset env. And what this package is, it's kind of like a super plugin package where it'll install the right plugins for you based on the rules that you set. So let's install that. And now we'll need to create a config file for post CSS. Now, one gotcha is you need to use .cjs, not .js, because it's still using the old style of stuff. So let's open that up. And what I'll do is I'll paste in the config, and I'll walk you through it quickly. So we're importing the plugin, and then we are setting up the config. And we just basically say that we want to use stuff that is at least 2 browsers support, at least 2 vendors have it. And these are the features that we need. We want to have custom media queries. That's the important one here. So now that we've done this, we can save it, and you should probably restart your Svelte server. So let's restart the Svelte server. And we can now specify media queries inside our page. Let's go into src routes page. And right inside here, we can now use media. So imagine inside this h1 tag, I can say media, and there's a syntax for this. So I'll show it to you in the docs here. The syntax looks like this. So you could say, everything that's like extra small and above, or everything that's like below. So I'll target everything above. So the default value will be the smallest value. And then if it's MD and above, I'll change some values. Like we can change this font size. I'll copy that and paste it. And we'll change the font size to be, I don't know, 5. And so now if we refresh, we see that it is not working. And that's actually a common gotcha, and that is that you have to import the media CSS file. So import from OpenProps, media min.css. And you have to do this in every component that uses media queries. So now if we adjust, we see that it does do the breakpoint. So that's normally how you do it. You would basically have a bunch of breakpoints here. You could have another one for large. Make it, I don't know, even bigger. And so now we should be able to adjust accordingly. Okay, so that's the general idea behind OpenProps. Before I let you go, I'll just share with you one more tip, which is that if you're trying to experiment with this, you can always use the REPL. So if you go to SvelteLab/REPL, all you need to do is use unpkg. So just import https unpkg.com/openprops. And once you do that, you should be able to then use the OpenProps here. So I'll just change the color. There you go. And same thing for SvelteLab. If you go over to SvelteLab, there's an option to create a project. You can say new project template, and you can choose the OpenProp template, and that'll get you, takes a second to start, but then once it's there, you'll see that there's the PostCSS config that we just did, and there's the, you can put in, you can adjust your CSS vars. All right, so that's a wrap on the first video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave me some comments below. Let me know if you guys are using OpenProps, if you have any questions or any topics, if you suggest any topics that I should cover. Hopefully in the next video, I'll go to a more concrete example, should like build a demo maybe or something with OpenProps. Since I'm a new channel, let me know what you guys think about this. Like if you have any feedback, it would be super helpful. Other than that, yeah, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.